this is a topic which Yumnam sir, uh, he actually took time to think about what exactly he wants to speak about, and he wanted to speak about something which would be of value to everyone. And specifically more so with respect to the place where Sir hails from, what his experiences are, and how he has been able to see so much of something which is actually entirely extrajudicial, but at the same time something which is very deeply prevalent in our country and very relevant in today's times. So, Yumnam sir, a little bit I'll tell you about him. So, he is a senior advocate practicing at Manipur High Court. He has spent a lot of considerable part of his life in Imphal, right from his schooling to where he received certain interesting advantages and certain prizes, wherein he ended up in Bangalore studying his bachelor's in fisheries. Post that, Sir came back to Imphal and finished his law over there. And he has been enrolled in practicing in the bar since 1992. So, Sir was designated a senior in 2017, and the core practice which Sir has is in service law and constitutional law. So, along with that, it is really a privilege and pleasure to be able to welcome Yumnam Sir with us today. And, Sir, I hand over the class to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, I admit that I'm not a good orator or a very good lecturer, and I don't have much rich vocabulary like my other learned colleagues. But with my limited knowledge and with some experience I had, I'll try to impart some of the knowledge I gain to everyone, so that we can interact in this matter. And listeners may find my accent something different, as I am from another part of the country. So my accent may not be that much audible. But however, I'll try my level best. I'll go slow. I'll try my level best. And Mr. Keshav, thanks for giving this opportunity to share my views in the interest of public about the mob justice or mob violence, which is very much prevalent in many parts of our country. And today, one thing I want to apologize. Night. So I may not be able to utilize the full 45 minutes as per the doctor's advice, but as I have promised to Mr. Keshav, I'll try my level best to impart some of my experience to the esteemed listeners, so that we can have some good interaction. I will be giving my my lecture on mob justice. This session, I will not go deep into the law. Rather, I prefer to interact with the fact and the basic laws, which is of social issues. We'll discuss about the social issues and the basic laws and the consequences and the remedy to prevent mob justice. And I want to make the session very simple and make it in a very, very simple way, so that we all can assimilate, because after all, everyone might have had the experience. For me also, I had the direct experience during my early days I remember it was somewhere in between 1980 and 82. I had enough experience about the mob violence in my state. It was in my tender age, all ignorance and misguide that we used to get. So I will start. What is mob violence and mob justice? The word mob, let us see the word mob, the meaning. It is a large and disorderly crowd of people, especially one that is disorderly and intent on causing trouble or violence to a person or some person or to a community. Then let us come to justice. Justice, everyone knows, it is the maintenance or administration of what is just, especially by the impartial adjustment of conflicting claims or the assignment of merited rewards or punishments. It is also virtue by which we give to every man, every woman, what is due opposed to injury or wrong. So altogether, mob justice. Mob justice is the practice whereby a mob, usually consisting of many or several dozens or more than that, collected together and took the law in their hands in order to injure or kill or destroy the property of the person who is accused of wrongdoing. Mob justice is little different from mob violence. In mob justice, the mob thinks that they are doing a justice. They are imparting justice. They are giving punishment to a wrongdoer. That is what the mob justice thinks. In mob justice, the issue of victim's quality or what is past contribution to the society, what is his status, that becomes immaterial. In other words, it becomes secondary. Instead, the mob becomes the prosecutor, judge, jury, and the executor itself. They execute. They become an executioner. They execute everything all in one in their hand, and they will take the law in hand, and that they will punish the wrongdoers whom they feel that he is doing wrong. Now, let us come to the law. What the law states. The essence of justice is that everyone in society is equally subjected to the law, making it clear that no one is above the law in any circumstances. Law prevails to everyone. And perpetrators of mob justice believe that they are solving the problem by eliminating or punishing the alleged criminals or antisocials. But in other words, nothing has been done. They did nothing, only harm to the society. And no doubt, law provides self-defense. And law never provides to take law in the hands. Now, in briefly, under section 96 to 103 of the Indian Penal Code, it deals with the right to self-defense. No doubt, the law permits that a person has a right to defend himself, that is self-defense. He can protect himself, his family, his property from the illegal actions of a person or many persons. So even let us see, gun license of permitted caliber or bore are given to the civilian. So, and civilians, after getting the gun license, they purchase guns of a particular type. The gun is for defending himself as well as defending his family, defending his property only, not to do assault or attack to others. And even under the section 143 of the 143 to 153 of the Indian Penal Code, it deals with the riot and the assembly of many persons who may be causing disturbance to the public tranquility. In spite having this law, in spite having these guidelines, then instructions, law laid down, then police force, security force, why it becomes very much prevalent in our country about the mob violence? And then the question asks, is there justice in mob violence or in mob justice? Is there justice? I'll say, at any cost, in any way, a big no. There is no justice at all by mob violence. The mob justice in mob justice, nothing was done by following the due process of law. It is all taken in the law was taken in their hands, and they deliver judgment by way of punishment to a person whom they think that he is a wrongdoer, without giving any fairness, moral rightness, scheme or system of law. So in any cause, mob justice is never gives justice to anyone. On the other hand, mob justice does not afford its victim any right, any liberty, any chance of being heard, nothing except destruction of justice, judicial system, as well as the society as a whole. Now, the word violence itself is also defined by the World Health Organization, that it is the intentional use of physical force or power threatened or action against oneself. Violence may be to oneself also, another person or a group of person or a community also, which may either result in a high likelihood of resulting in injury, death, psychological trauma, loss of property, etc. Now, let us deal with the main cause of mob justice or mob violence. The main causes, there are several causes, thus I am picking up after with my experience as well as with some articles I have collected. Am I audible? 7 causes for mob violence. Number 1, the one of the most prevalent cause for mob violence is due to death, murder, rape, or molestation of women. Here, in such situation, in a society, we consider with great respect about the woman in our society. Even we pray goddess. So when a woman is killed, murdered, or raped, or molested, a crowd may come up. Then it will convert into a mob, and they will give punishment, or they will try to attack the alleged culprit without going due process of law. Another one is, second one, that is murder of an innocent child or an innocent person. That also gives similar problem, and it will create mob. Then inhuman torture to an innocent person. It also attracts mob. Then in drug-related incidents, where drug peddlers are involved, where drug pushers are involved, where drug addicts are involved, there also mob violence do occur. Then another very important one, now very prevalent, is the politically motivated to an incident, which has caused a lot of mob violence in our country. Now, even election is going on in my state. Tomorrow there will be fast-paced election. In the last so many years, many persons died, many got injured due to the mob violence or mob justice, which has been motivated politically by the interested political party. This is also one of the causes. Then, sixth one is the conflicts amongst the religious ideologies, different religious ideologies. We have, ours is a secular state. We have so many religion, faiths, and we have different faiths. So among taking undue advantage of this different religious ideology, sometimes mobs create a problem. Again, latest one, that is the 7th one, that is the misinformation or instigation on social media. Social media is a very good thing, but sometimes this social media cause misinformation and causing very, very large scale mob violence in our state, in other parts of the country also. Because in social media, not like other days, faster than the newspaper, faster than the television, this through mobile and others, this under the social media platform, rumors are spread, and minor incidents are magnified to a major incident and giving misinformation, and which ultimately cause mob violence. These are some of the main cause for mob violence in our country. That is my personal experience. Then I will give 3 examples of mob violence. One in South India, one in Delhi, that is in North India. Then one in my Northeast state, in my state. And the third one, which I am going to narrate, which I am going to share in my state about the mob violence, it is a very peculiar. You might not have heard, but first I will go to the mob violence, which was discussed in the Supreme Court also, that I am going to start from North India. In North India, what happened? On 22nd January 2000, Jayalalitha, the Honorable Chief Minister of that time, she got convicted by a court of law. And on that day, the workers, political workers, they were enraged. They were very much unhappy, angry with the judgment of the court, maybe. They started making mob violence. Now, on that fateful day, what happened is that some students of horticulture college, that is one of my course relating to my course, that is horticulture college in Tamil Nadu, they were having a tour, a study tour by 2 buses. One bus filled with boys, second bus filled with girls students. These 2 buses were parked in front of a hotel for some reasons. Then at that time, after parking, some person came by motorbike and mob gathered. Then they threw a petrol bomb or something inside the bus where the girl students are traveling. In that incident, 3 girl students died from burn injury, and several girl students also got burn injuries. And the matter was, case was registered, and the trial court announced its judgment. Conviction was done by awarding death penalty to some of the perpetrators, some criminals. It was given the death penalty. Then the matter come up for criminal review petition before the Honorable Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, which after considering the matter, reverted or commuted the death sentence to life imprisonment for the perpetrators, that is for the criminals. And this matter was discussed in, it was disposed of and reported in 2016, volume 12, Supreme Court cases, and 3 to 5 pages. It was disposed of in 2016. And see, the matter occurred, the incident occurred in the early part in January 2000, and justice is delivered in the year 2016. That is after about 16 or 17 years, justice was delivered. Why I am emphasizing this point is that I am going to come in the last part. Why the mob justice comes? For that only I am giving the emphasis, the time taken for delivery of justice, 16 to 7 years. Then let us come to North India. At that time, I was in Bangalore doing my second year. It was on 31st October 1984. Our late Honorable Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her guards. And the guards happens to be of Sikh community, Punjabis. Maybe the assassination might have been related with the Operation Blue Star, Operation Blue Star, which occurred prior to that assassination days. Maybe that. And after the assassination, there was mass-scale mob violence, where many Punjabis, many Sikh community, Sikh peoples, they were killed, injured, burned, their property destroyed, and they even face mental trauma throughout their life also. And this incident occurred from 31st October 1984, but the delivery of justice was concluded from 1996. The matter also, there are many other cases. One of the matters which I want to refer here is 1996 volume 8 Supreme Court cases, page 250. It is between Delhi administration versus Tribhuvan Nath court. In this case also, I am not going into the legal aspect which has been discussed in this case, but what I want to give more emphasis is the delivery of justice, time taken in the delivery of justice. The incident occurred in 1994 and the delivery of justice in 1996. That means it takes about more than 12 years to give delivery of justice to the litigants. Now I'll come to the third one, very peculiar. This is a very peculiar case of mob violence, and it's a glaring example how innocent people are also punished because no due process of law was done in this case. So by this mob, in this case, I'll tell you the story. It happens about 7-8 years ago. Maybe I am also having little dim memory, but I am very much clear about the story. It happens about 7 to 8 years ago. What happened is that there was a husband and a woman, a wife, husband and wife, who had frequent quarrels. One night, it was found that the wife is missing, vanished. Then next morning, the husband's wife, the parents of the wife, along with relatives and the neighbors, then local peoples, all gathered into the house and they searched the missing woman here and there. Then they presumed that, considering the past quarrel, the wife has been killed by the husband or by the husband's family, and her body has been disposed of somewhere so that they can escape the law. And they also presume that the wife has been killed or murdered, and her body has been kept hidden somewhere, and they have made a missing report to the police. Then the mob become more and more agitated, and they tried to attack the husband and the family, but somehow with some injuries they escaped, and the police rescued them, and they were kept in the police custody on the charge of murder of his own wife. this investigation was done on the pressure of the mob, just to cool down the mob. Then what happened is that the mob burned down the house of the husband. Then the child, that is the, I think 1 or 2 minor child were there, that was taken into the custody of the wife's, the parents of the wife took the custody, and the mob also passed a decree, not the court, the mob passed a decree stating that, declaring that this husband as well as his family will be excommunicated, and they will not be allowed to reside in their homestead land on the charge of murder of that woman, of the wife. That is how it happens. And now let us see, the whole family got displaced. They lost the job. They have nowhere to go. Then with great difficulty they survived. They leave their home place and scattered everywhere. And the husband was in the police custody. And you know, in police custody, a person who is suspected of murdering his own wife, how they will be treated? 3rd-degree punishment, torture. Then later on, he has been put into the jail under judicial custody for a long period. And nobody tried to take him out on bail also, because all are afraid. So he lingered in the jail for a very long period. Then after few years, the wife who was suspected to have been killed by the husband or the family was found in a border town which is bordering with Myanmar. We call it More. He was found living in that border town along with her paramour or the lover. See, later on, the husband was released from the judicial custody and the family returned back. Now, what happened is that during that long period, from the day of the missing of the wife, the husband, the family, how they might have suffered, because the mob took the law in hand. So this is the 3rd example I'm giving, one from south, one from north, one from northeast. Now, after going through these 3 examples, now let us see, one question comes. Who will compensate the irreparable loss afflicted to the victims? Who will compensate? And no appropriate punishments are also given, because you see, in a mob, it is very difficult to punish all the persons. Suppose it is 100 persons are there, only a few got punished, others escaped due to lack of evidence or so many legal lacunas. Now, why mob justice? Why the public is indulging mob justice? Why they resort to mob justice? Why? Here also, when this is my personal opinion, I found 8 reasons for encouraging mob justice. Number 1, public, when I asked randomly to the person, why you took the law in hand, they express their lack of confidence in the present judicial system relating to the particularly criminal judicial system, because it takes time. So public lack the confidence to the judicial system, particularly criminal justice. Then second point, lack of confidence to the investigating agencies, particularly police. Public feels that police will take side with the accused, or they may not do the investigation properly, or their investigation may take time, or they may not investigate properly in such a way that the accused may get punished. They lack confidence. Then public lack the respect of law and order which is in force in this country. This is my personal experience. I'm not saying that whatever I know is 100% correct, but this is what I learned from the public. Then fourth one is the manipulation of people in the crowd by a group of people with some vested interests and adverse and vested interests against the victims. Then another fifth one is the suspicion of public that corruption involved amongst the investigating agencies, government machineries. No doubt, corruption we cannot eradicate fully, I think, because it is a problem which is time immemorial, and corruption will be there, I think, as long as there is love of mother for her sons or daughter. But we should try our maximum best level to reduce the corruption more, maybe due to that. Then sixth one, law seems to be weak, what the people says, because you see, when a crime is committed, when so much years it takes to give a final judgment or punishment to a criminal, then there is certain things which need to consider that law needs to be amended to suit the present situation. Then some people, some crowds, public, they want quick justice, but quick justice hurried will be justice buried. So quick justice they want. Then eighth one, it is social behavior. This is also very important. Social behavior is very important in the which is related with the mob. When the society, when the community is of well-educated, well-disciplined, low-fearing, and very civilized form of society, then there is very less chance of mob violence. But when the society is in turmoil, when the society or the community is not that much well educated, and when the community itself is somewhat hot-blooded, certainly there will be more violence. Now let me take one example. In Mangalore, particularly Mangalore, not Bangalore, in Mangalore, you will not find more violent mass. No, very rare more violence. I have enough experience in Mangalore. Mangalore is a place in the early 80s, is a place where a woman can walk at 12 p.m. alone on the street after buying sabji. I have seen with my eyes. This is a place where a woman can walk alone without any fearness, freely. I have seen with my own eyes. Here you won't find. But you see, in Northeast region, not I won't mention the state, you will find so many mob violence. A truck driver met an accident, not his own fault, but by the fault of the commuter. An accident occurred. A mob will be created and kill the driver. Not only once, every month it happens in the national highways. This is what happens in Northeast. Then Now I'll come to the impact of mob justice in the society. Impact of mob justice in the society. I'll shorten. I think my permitted time is limited. Impact of number one, after a mob justice, we'll find loss of life, physical injury to the innocent citizens. Then number two, you will find loss of property. Then number three, loss of confidence to the judicial system. Then number fifth, insecurity amongst the public. Number six, mental trauma, permanent mental trauma to the victim of mob violence. Now, let us come to the conclusion. This is very important. Conclusion is that to minimize mob violence, I suggest 6 points. First point, particularly the lawyers, responsible citizens, and legal forums like state and district legal service authorities are also there. These particular citizens, these lawyers are also first-class citizens. We should educate, or we should enlighten the public that mob violence should be shunned. It should be shut. It should not be done. Everything should be done in accordance with law by giving cooperation to the law enforcing agencies instead of taking the law in their own hand, because mob justice is not acceptable in our society. So they should be educated, they should be enlightened, there should be regular interaction program so that mob justice should be minimized. Number two, the public should be taught or make them understand to respect the law of the land, because when you respect the law of your land, we will be respecting ourselves. Number three, settle the dispute or any grievance in accordance with law. Settle the dispute, but it should be done in time. Settle the dispute and their grievances, all the grievances as per the law, in accordance with the law. Then number four, never take the law in hand. That we should create an awareness to the public that we should not take the law in our hands. No doubt we should have the right of the self-defense, but we should not take the law in hand. Then another thing is that legal luminaries, lawyers, then social workers and the legislators, they should think together and work together to amend some portion of the existing legal system to speed up delivery of justice. Then last, that is number six, not like earlier days, now we are having social media, and misuse of social media should not be done at all. It should have been, it should be curbed, misuse of social media. But social media should be used for the development, for the welfare, and for giving good information to the public. I think with this, I'm having little problem also. I want to conclude my lecture.
Thank you so much, sir, for bringing such deep insights into this very technical topic, because I think so everyone has what knowledge people have is generally that it is how it is being portrayed today, that it is generally only political, and it is actually something which does not happen for normal reasons. But
Yes.
how you enlisted 3 points, it was very descriptive of how sometimes it is actually just misinformation, and sometimes it is just the lack of information which also lead to such situations. So we thank you deeply for having had communicated this.